Julissa. Thank you so much everybody for coming back to my channel. Thank you so much to everybody who's listening and watching right now on Spotify. Today is Friday, January the 9th, 2026. I'm here to give you guys sorry, I'm just adjusting the camera here. I'm just here to talk to you about a very disturbing case that's coming out of Pennsylvania. So let me give you a trigger warning. This year, it's just 9 days into the year, and things are happening very fast, you guys, as we know it. And now this case that I'm going to share to you guys about, I'm going to give you a trigger warning because this is about skeletons that were found. So trigger warning, so if you're sensitive to topics like that, maybe this is not the video or the podcast that you should be listening to. Before I continue and give you time to watch something else, if you're not, you're sensitive to that, I want to thank everybody, like I said, who has been listening using Spotify and watching this video on Spotify. You can leave me a comment there. You can subscribe on Spotify. Also, everybody who's listening right now using Apple Podcasts, thank you guys so much for listening. Everybody right now who's watching on YouTube, thank you guys so much for watching and subscribing on YouTube. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. I also have a Facebook page called JulissaDesigns Content, and I'm also on Instagram and basically every other social media with the name JulissaDesigns, which is also my branding name for my my collection. So trigger warning, like I said, you guys, something was discovered and somebody already has been arrested. I'm gonna give you the information now. This happened in Lancaster County. It says here a man is facing more than 500 charges after investigators say they discovered more than 100 human skeleton remains in his house. Like, what is going on, man? Every time I hear something so morbid like that, I immediately thought Satan has a hold on somebody. Because when you want to deal with body parts, right, bones and things like that, outside of you being a doctor, obviously, something is morbid about that, and that's just demonic. Okay, there's nothing else to call it. It's very demonic. Okay, normal people with the normal thinking, they don't do stuff like that, right? They don't go and burglarize a cemetery for something like that, right? There's more, people with the normal thinking and healthy mental health, they have a big respect for human life, right? So let me continue to read. Officers said on Tuesday night an arrest was made of 34-year-old Jonathan Gerlach. Has culminated into a month-long investigation into the break-in at Mount Moriah Cemetery in Jeddah, where at least 26 mausoleums and vaults has been forced open since early November. What? Oh my goodness. They found 26 vaults and it's a mausoleum that has been forced open since early November in 2025, and they have found the person responsible and arrested 34-year-old, his name Jonathan Gerlach, right? Wow. When you hear stories like this and everything else that's been going on, it's been really crazy. You really can tell that we live in a broken world, right? That you set out your day to do good in the world, and then you hear something like this. It's like the amount of planning and thinking that goes into somebody wanting to do something like that, right? That tells you, like, you don't want to know, like, what goes through somebody like that mind every day, right? To be desiring to do something like that, right? Police have been looking into the string of burglaries when an investigator checked Gerlach's vehicle plate and found that he had been near Jeddah repeatedly during the period where the burglaries occurred. Police say the break-in centered on sealed vaults and mausoleum containing older burials, which has been smashed open, had stonework damage to reach the remains inside. So the stonework in these graves were damaged just to reach the remains inside. Complete disregard to human life, human respect, the families, the memories of people. It's so crazy, guys. I mean, I was just thinking, like, sometimes, you even feel like when you see, like, when you go to a cemetery, right, and you want to, like, clean up something, the stone or something of a loved one of yours, and you like, I don't want to touch it too much because you feel like it's disrespectful if you remove something or something like that. This 34-year-old guy breaks open the bolts and takes out the remains to bring to his house. That is so crazy. That is so demonic. Like, I don't know what else to call it. It's just so crazy that people, like, this could be your neighbor, this could be anybody. They go around like doing something like that. I am so glad that he got caught. I am so glad it hasn't been like, this investigation lasted 5 years, right? It was just November, and they finally got somebody. Maybe they need more security at cemeteries. Maybe that's what's missing, right? Because guess what? There's nothing new, right? I'm sure there's another person who probably does the same thing. I am not trying to be like, thinking negative, nothing like that, but we know it's almost when you hear about cases about the children that are being trafficked, like, it happens in one city and then you hear the news again and it happening in another city. And you're like, are you serious? This is what's going on here? That is so crazy. And it says here that Gerlach told investigator that he actually confessed, he took 30 sets of human remains and showed them the grave he stole from two police. Investigators said that the arrest led to search of Gerlach's home in Lancaster County, where they found over 100 skeleton remains. I wonder what his motive is, right? Then now they're gonna say he has some mental health issues. Like, obviously we know, but what is the whole point of that? Detective walked into a horror movie coming into life the other night. This is an unbelievable scene, they say. The Delaware County District Attorney mentioned, understand, some of these are 200 years old. Some obviously much newer. There's one with a peacemaker still attached to the body. Oh my goodness, this is crazy. I cannot imagine the families that are affected by this. This young guy, 34 years old, had no respect whatsoever for human life. And no respect for people's memory, no respect for anything, right? Committing a crime like that, thinking that he's probably, oh yeah, nobody's gonna say anything, right? I grieve for those who are upset by this, who are going through it, who are trying to figure out if it is in fact their loved one or their child, because we found remains that we believe to be months-old infants among those that he had collected, the detective added during a press conference they did today. Police believe the remains were also taken from other cemeteries throughout the region. They're also investigating a Facebook group entitled Human Bones and Skull Selling Group. Are you serious? Is this really going on? There is a Facebook group where people share selling skull information. Like, he was tagged, the guy Gerlach was tagged in picture holding a skull. This is so hard to even like. So they're selling people's bones through Facebook. And you guys know when there is somebody selling something, it's because there is a demand for it. That cannot be more crazy. That is just crazy. Very simply, it says here, detectives have recovered an awful lot of bones at this point, and we are still trying to piece together who they are, where they are from, and how many we're looking at. It is going to be quite some time before we have a final answer. Oh my goodness. Wow. Authorities say they say they do not yet know if any remains were sold by the guy, by Gerlach. The remains were in various states. They explain some were, okay, I'm not gonna read all of that. Neighbors were shaking after learning about the charges. It is supposed to be a nice, quiet little town, and here you have somebody with bodies in their house. It is really crazy. You really don't know what people are doing. You really don't know. People will put up a front, and everybody's like, oh, they're always so nice. People are, man. This is why this is all happening, because Jesus is getting ready to come back, and everything's being brought up to the surface. Everything that you do in the dark will come to light. And it's not just going to come to light, it's going to be publicized, it's going to go viral, it's going to be exposed to the mass, like it happened to this man. How is Facebook even allowing a group to be selling or changing information about skulls and human body parts for sale? How is that even allowed? Like, this is insane. This not only showing how crazy people can be. In this, sometimes you hear stories, you're like, oh yeah, I saw a movie, something like that, right? Which, by the way, if you're a believer in Christ, you shouldn't be watching movies like that, right? But then you're like, oh yeah, but it's just a fantasy movie, it's a make-believe movie. And then you hear a story like this, that this actually happened, that this guy was arrested on Tuesday, that he has been breaking into cemeteries, breaking into graves, collecting bones to sell on the internet, or they found 100 parts in his house. A 34-year-old guy from Pennsylvania. This is how he makes his money. And that there is a Facebook group online that are exchanging information where to buy this stuff, where to get this stuff. Not only is this show bringing this crazy stuff to the surface, that it makes you. It's so hard to believe, you guys. That's why I wanted to give a trigger warning when I started. I haven't read the whole story. Like, I was shocked as you saw me, as I was reading this article. I remember when I first heard this story a couple hours ago, and I saw the detective. I'm like, I wonder what this is. He looks traumatized. The person giving the press conference, he looked traumatized. Now I know why. Some of the stuff, as you can hear me, I couldn't even read it, right? And it's just so crazy that the lack of respect for human life. And then you think about everything that's going on with the children, right? And everything else that's in the news. So let's not even get into that, right? We need to get closer to Jesus Christ as more than ever. Obviously, we live in a broken world that there's a lot of evil and crazy stuff going on, right? When you hear a story like this, it tells you, run to the cross, run to Jesus, run to the Bible, get into a communion with the Lord, because it's crazy. It's crazy. We need the Lord more than ever. I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of people speaking about this story. Guys, let me know what you think about this right now, and if there's any update, hopefully not too crazy. I cannot imagine the families that are going to find out. I cannot even imagine. So let me know, guys, what you think about this. Definitely we need more securities in cemeteries, because now there's no respect for even people who had passed. There's no respect for that, for their resting place. So let me know, guys, what you think about this. Thank you, everybody, for coming to the channel, and everybody who's listening right now in the podcast. Have a good day. God bless. Hi everybody, this is Julissa. Thank you so much for coming to my YouTube channel. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe, and I hope to see you in the next video. Have a good day everybody. God bless.